Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking another look at Dead or Alive, released in 1996 on the Sega Model 2 arcade hardware. Of course, this is my version which runs on Sega Model 2A. Now, as you can see, we have the original 8 characters here, with a rather dodgy translation. If you look at some of those things, they're a little bit bad. If you remember in my last video, I kind of highlighted how Jan Lee's favorite was hamburger. But basically what you're going to be seeing today is, I figured why not give Hayabusa a shot? But the funny thing is, I was thinking to myself, oh, everyone's going to just like beat me up so bad and I'm going to lose so many times. And sure enough, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it right now. I never lose 2 rounds this whole gameplay. And it's not like I really practice Hayabusa or anything. In fact, what I was doing, which you'll probably eventually see, and of course if you're watching this years in the future, I'm sure I will have the video online, but what I was actually practicing was playing as Li Fang, and no matter how hard I did, it's like Genfu or Kasumi or Bayman, they would always just keep beating me no matter how many times I played. But of course, getting back to Dead or Alive here, this is actually running on my Sega Model 2A arcade hardware, which the board I'm actually running this on is different from the one that it was running on in the last video. I had actually purchased a Virtua Fighter 2 board for a really cheap price. More or less a little bit more than it cost for the guy to ship it. And I put the security chip and the ROM board for this game on it, and now I have a fully caged board with Dead or Alive on it, and I don't have to worry if it has to sit in a cardboard box or be in bubble wrap. So basically what you saw in the beginning there, in the intro, that actually is the actual metal cage that this game board now sits in. And I know I've said it many times when I've actually played this game, but that's one thing, just like the original Virtua Fighter 2 for Model 2, that I love, is all the backgrounds and all the animations and everything. The Sega Saturn version did a decent job of that, but it just didn't look as nice. And one thing I will definitely say, which I had a Facebook post like literally a minute before making this gameplay, where I'd said, you really don't get an appreciation for Dead or Alive, the series as a whole, until you just sit back and do some long play of the original version of Dead or Alive. And now mind you, I'm not talking about Dead or Alive for PlayStation. I'm not talking about Dead or Alive for Sega Saturn. I'm not even talking about Dead or Alive ++. I'm talking about Dead or Alive for Sega Model 2. No emulation, running off the original board. The funny part that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the animations, a lot of the movement, a lot of the way the characters move in this game was heavily tweaked when it came to the console versions. And this original version here just has a bit of a different feel compared to its console and its sequel versions. Like, one of the big things I like to say is when Tina does her, that move where she comes up with the knee and then comes down with her fists, the motion in this version of the game is a bit different compared to any other version. It looks, in my opinion, I would go on record as saying, like, even if you saw her doing the fist down like that, the motion is just a little bit different. And another one that I like to say is when Kasumi is gonna do her down move, like you're down on the ground and she jumps on you, the way that she moves her arms when she's jumping up is different from any of the console versions. And like a lot of the wing poses and appeals are a bit different too. But it's like those little small nuances that you really don't notice until you just sit down one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna spend a few hours playing the game that started this amazing fighting series, and I'm going to just basically relish in what started more than a 20-year-old franchise at this point in history, because you gotta realize this was 1996. I believe the USA version came out in 1997, and at this point we're more than 20 years since this series actually started, and it's still going strong today. But you just look at this game running on its original hardware and you think to yourself, this series really started really well, and it's just a testament to the work of Tomonobu Itagaki and his team when they first made this game back when he joined Tecmo, with the good old-fashioned the president of Tecmo giving him that opportunity to make a game and give him basically one chance to make a successful game. And as we all know, sure enough, Dead or Alive became the series that we all know today. Now, unfortunately, due to the fact that Tecmo lately has only been looking to make more downloadable content for Dead or Alive 5, the series has lost a lot of its original credibility. But that's why I say, even if you have to use an emulator, just sit down and play some original Dead or Alive, and just look at how this game moves. Get a feel for how the different characters react and how the different motion is done, and you really can appreciate what Dead or Alive is and what it always was. A very fluid fighting game. Although the one thing I will definitely say that I've noticed a lot in this game upon all my Li Fang playthroughs, because I've done at least 2 or 3 attempts to finish a playthrough, which I eventually did, but at a very high time. And the AI tends to rubber band a little bit when it comes to, after it defeats you the first time, it tends to get a bit harder. And now what you're seeing here is actually on the default normal difficulty. I didn't turn it down to easy or anything. And this is one of my favorite levels in this whole game, is the Danger Zone. I probably made a mention of it last time, but it's just such a cool level because, like, there's all the movement, and the floor kind of changes from shades of blue to shades of green. And then behind where Kasumi is right now, there's actually a door that opens and closes at times. I don't know if, yeah, I don't think it's seen in this gameplay, but the door will be wide open, and then sometimes it'll just open and close at random times. And of course, here's our unplayable, in this version at least, final boss, Raido. But yeah, this game is just such a great game. It's like, I really can't explain it, and you probably won't understand what I'm talking about until you, like, go ahead and just play this original version, either on an arcade board like I have sitting right next to my chair right now, or if you have to play it on an emulator like the Sega M2 emulator. I mean the Nebula M2 emulator. And just basically bask in what was the first entry in such a long series. And it's one of those funny things, like, there are so many games I'll play, like the original Tekken or the original Virtua Fighter, where I'm like, well, you know what, this didn't really work, or that didn't really work, or this boss is just terribly unbalanced. But this is just one of those games that I play it, and you play it a while, you get a feel for it, you're like, this really is a great game. And of course, I've made mention of this in just about every video that I do. This actual end credit sequence is 100% exclusive to this version. The credits are never presented like this in any other Dead or Alive game. Because, as I've said, like, the one thing I like in some of the Dead or Alive games is when it shows your actual motion of defeating certain enemies. But this cool, like, fighting the boss where it shows the character doing various moves, which this is all, like, pre-programmed animation. I didn't do any of this because, of course, a lot of the throws I really don't know in this game, which eventually I probably will pick up the arcade strategy guide that they have out in Japan, because it just tells a lot of the moves. Because the funny thing is, I actually tried the Ultimate slash Sega Saturn version, and a lot of the moves in that version don't exist in this one because they actually had tweaked it. So eventually I'm gonna have to pick up that book and just more or less like get at tournament level. And of course there's Tomonobu Itagaki's name in the credits, producer and director. But as I said, I very, very highly recommend you give this game a try in either a real arcade board like I have, or just play it on the Nebula M2 emulator, because at this point that emulator more or less has this game perfect. I think this is the gameplay I do it, but in this version of the game, if you run away from the end, it actually unlights it up, so you have to go right back to it, whereas in the Sega Saturn version, if you run away from the end, no matter how far away from the word end you get, it's still lit up. So if you press the button, it will still activate to end your entry of your name. But in this version, it doesn't do that. And yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to beat this time, but we will see. And you'll see a few of my other gameplays, like there's that Leaf Flame gameplay, 12 minutes and 31 seconds. I may release that one, or I may just release a different, make a different playthrough, but yep, that's Dead or Alive. I just wanted to get this one out because I was surprised I basically got through the whole thing as Ryu, just trying once, and I didn't lose 2 rounds at any time, and I even did a burst mode as Kasumi. Well, this has been another Game Nexus Arcade video, and I will see you later. Bye.